Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
What it is, what it ain't. It's your boy Carlton with another video for anything, everything, where I talk about anything I want and everything that comes to my mind. In today's video, we're going to be going over the 2024 presidential debate between Trump and Kamala. I've seen snippets of this already, and I can definitely say I'm unimpressed with both sides. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I'm unimpressed with both sides. I'm a person, I freely critique everybody. Do I lean more conservative? Yes, of course, especially as a Christian. But nonetheless, I'm not a Trumper. I can realize when Trump does things that's wrong. I can realize when he says things that's wrong. I can realize his mistakes, and I'm not blinded by emotions. I'm not blinded by political affiliation, none of that. What I see is pretty much what goes on with every other person that talks politics. They either talk from pure hate, emotions, etc., etc. But nonetheless, we're going to be reviewing this together. Let's get started and go over this.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
See, have fun.
Thank you.
Well, first, I don't know why she has to introduce herself, but I will give her the fact that she walked up to him and shook his hand. If it was Trump, Trump was not going to do that. So huge respects to her for doing that. It shows that she has some sort of decency, you know.
Welcome to you both. It's wonderful to have you. It's an honor to have you both here tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time.
Okay, because it's just so I don't lose my train of thought. So one thing I've noticed from the other clips, they were fact-checking Trump a lot, but they were not fact-checking Kamala. Here's number one. There's not a housing shortage. If anything, there's more houses on the market, if anything. Number two, she's not answering the question. She's just going straight into her reminiscence, talking about her childhood. And as far as she's the only person that has a plan, Agenda 47 is on Trump's website. Just go and look it up. He has a plan as well. You're probably not familiar with the plan, but he has a plan as well.
So that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses.
Okay, $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses. So my first question would be, how was that necessarily a deduction? Because, and for you guys that don't know, when you start a small business, you're not required to immediately file taxes. So to get a $50,000 tax deduction as a small business, I guess, is she saying that when it's time for that small business to file their taxes, that they'd be getting that $50,000 tax deduction? But I don't really see how that's going to help start up small businesses, unless they're giving out grants or anything like that, which is there are already a ton of grants for startup businesses and things like that. If I miss speaking. If I'm saying this wrong, please someone correct me. But this is my level of understanding, and that just really didn't make no sense.
Knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do.
You see, it's about time someone starts putting America first. All these other countries is taking advantage of America, and Trump is actually putting things into play that other countries could start paying their fair share, and also putting other American businesses and corporations first instead of international corporations coming in and taking over everything and making it harder for the American companies to prosper. So I don't know where she's coming from with this Trump sales tax, but obviously the purpose is to give a lot of false narratives, that because she knows the average American, is going to fall for the emotional pandering that she loves to do.
They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places they've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago.
This is a problem I have with Trump. Trump loves to over-exaggerate everything. 80% higher? like just make your point and go about your business. But he loves to take something and over-exaggerate everything, bro.
This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics.
Trump, let me ask you something. What immigrants from mental asylums are pouring in and taking jobs? I don't know. I didn't pass by no construction sites or any other jobs and I see someone that belongs in a mental asylum laying bricks and foundation and all that other good stuff. I don't know. Have you guys seen anybody from mental asylums that are immigrants taking jobs? What are you saying? Oh, come on.
And also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that Xi and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
I just want to note that the first question that they asked was the economy better under Trump or under them, and she did not answer that question. Just take it because everybody want to talk about Trump not answering questions, Trump not answering questions. Video, unless your 2 ears is blocked, she did not answer the first question.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us.
Donald Trump didn't bring COVID. She's saying Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic, as if he's the one that created COVID. It doesn't matter who was in office. Whoever took on after was going to have to deal with the repercussions or the after effects of COVID as well.
The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump.
I'm trying to see why they didn't fact check her on Project 2025. Now, I'm pretty sure Trump is going to say he don't have nothing to do with Project 2025. But what she just did was something equivalent to a lawyer saying something in open court that the judge will say, jury, disregard that statement, knowing that the jury, even though they're being told to disregard that statement, it still landed on their ears. But no, they know, and she knows that Donald Trump has nothing to do with Project 2025. He said it before, and he's going to say it again, and I'm pretty sure he's going to say it again. But guess what? She's spoiling the well, because she knows that the average American voter is not smart enough to do their own research. They're going to go with whatever they say, and they're going to pander to emotions, and they're going to eat it up. But did they fact check her? No.
Give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic, and the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounced back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse, mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you, because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
That's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look, I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those great...
So I do believe that definitely was a soundbite. I'm going to look into the Wharton and the Bloomberg report that she's talking about. But let's be for real. We can easily go on Trump's site and see what his plans are for the country. And if you go on Kamala's site, all they're doing is asking you for money. So yeah, let's not do that.
Those great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just
Run, spot, run. Listen, everybody keeps saying that, oh, she's vice president, she doesn't have any power, yada, yada, yada. You guys just don't know what you're talking about. You guys don't remember when everyone was saying, oh, maybe it's Dick Cheney that's really running the country and not really George Bush. You guys don't know that it's because of Mike Pence that the whole overturning the election thing didn't go through because of what he did. So yes, vice presidents do have power, and she did have a responsibility as controlling the border. And if she has the same exact policies and plans as Biden, why is everything she's talking about now she didn't collude with Biden to get it done? It's not, obviously, I know that, they can't just do whatever they want, but they didn't present no legislation. They wasn't pushing for anything, all the stuff that she's talking about now. Why her and Biden didn't do it? They're on the same team, right? He endorsed her, right? They in unison when it comes to the policies that they're looking to do. They're looking to make America, not great again, but I was about to say Trump slogan, but they're looking to make the economy great and do this and do that. Especially when it comes to the topic of abortion. What is she gonna do? They're using abortion as one of the greatest topics to pull on heartstrings to make people vote for them. But they're in office right now. What are they going to do? Are they going to put it back into, the federal government hand and take it away from the states? Because it's in the states' hands right now. What are they going to do? Nothing.
oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The Vice President brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation.
She's shaking her head. Trump is saying if they didn't like the tariffs, if the tariffs were supposedly going to not triple, but make people spend all this extra money because the consumer is the one that's going to have to eat the cost. Why didn't they cut the tariffs when they came in office? It's been 3.5 years and the tariffs are still there. So let's see if she responds to that.
Actually, no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response, and you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out. When a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights, But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point, when we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
President Trump.
You see, they asked her, there was a number of tariffs that's still in place. Like, why did you guys leave it there? Did you intend to? She didn't answer the question. Again, more questions being answered or asked, and she's not answering them. The first thing she want to do is attack Donald Trump. Trump this, Trump that. Answer the questions. She's not answering no questions. And you know what? I'm going to pause it here. I'm not going to make these videos too long. I'm going to pause it here and go over the remaining of the debate bit by bit. But listen, if I'm tripping, I asked a few questions earlier too. I'm not above reproach. If I make a mistake, please let me know and I'll say I was wrong. It's that simple. So from this that you guys have just watched, one, was she answering questions? And two, who do you know has policies and who do you know don't? Who do you know have a plan and who do you know don't? That whole $50,000 tax reduction act, I'm definitely going to look into that. That really just threw me a curveball. It really doesn't make sense, but maybe I'm just thinking about it too much. I don't know. But you guys let me know in the comments what you think. And if you did watch the debate, let me know your thoughts on it. Like, comment, subscribe. See you next time. Peace.